The night I arrived at Mechronis Academy feels like a lifetime ago. Back then I was just a kid, barely old enough to understand what real danger looked like. But I'd survived celebration, an experiment so twisted it took out every other hopeful they'd thrown into it. I came out on the other side, a bit more scarred but alive. I'd cracked the code, tore through the illusions, saw through all the pretty lies they built. That got me a one-way ticket to the academy where the real trials began. I'll never forget that cold platform, stepping off the shuttle, hearing my footsteps echo in that cavernous steel bay. Mechronis wasn't just a place, it was a machine, a twisted beating heart run by 5 archons. Each one was the head of a guild, and every guild promised something different, something dangerous. First, there were the Eyes, led by a shadowy figure known only as the Watcher. They were spies, masters of surveillance, deception, and sleight of hand. Their whole game was to know everything without ever being seen. I could feel their eyes on me, sizing me up like prey. Then there were the Yellowcoats. Their leader, the Warlord, was a grizzled, battle-worn type, always smirking like he knew something the rest of us didn't. His guild was the Academy's muscle, the Enforcers. Brutal, relentless. To walk their path meant being forged in the fires of endless war. The Grey Gamers were next, under the cold, calculating gaze of the Game Master. He was the type who'd beat you with brains over brawn, trapping you in puzzles you'd never see coming. The Grey Gamers didn't fight with fists. They twisted reality, rewrote the rules. That kind of power, well, it was tempting. Then there was the Meme, a slippery shapeshifter who understood that attention is the currency of control. He ran the influencers, the smooth talkers, the manipulators. Power there wasn't about strength. It was about making people believe anything you wanted them to. I could see the allure, sure, but I knew that game was risky. Last, but by no means least, there was the Necromancer, the Archon of the Living. He was shrouded in darkness, and his followers were rumored to toy with life and death itself. They claimed to wield immortality, but there was something unsettling about that kind of power. A line you couldn't uncross once you stepped over it. So there I was, standing at the edge of my fate, staring down 5 paths, each one darker than the last. I knew one thing. Mechronis wasn't for the faint of heart. I'd survived the celebration, but the Academy was a whole new game. A place where every choice carried a cost. And once you picked a guild, there was no going back. In that moment, I felt the weight of every step I'd ever taken. The path was mine to choose, and I knew that my survival would depend on more than just instinct. In Mechronis, you don't just survive by being strong. You survive by being smarter, colder, and a hell of a lot tougher than the next poor soul. And as I took that first step forward, I knew my life, my choices, my future. They all started right there in the shadow of the spire. Let the games begin.